Rising. This is a story about women. It's also a call to women.
It is an invocation, an acclamation, an appeal.
To rise to the occasion.
To rise to the challenge, to take it on.
To meet it head on.
Rise not to take up arms,
but to extend arms.
Rise to sing, to welcome,
to confront.
Rise to take your place.
Rise even if you're told to sit down.
Rise, rise. You are authorized to rise.
Permission is not required.
You have earned your standing.
You have unlimited credit.
You are pre-approved.
Like the sun and the moon, you rise.
Like the hero of the story, you rise.
When we all have been tested, you rise.
It has been quite a time. Yes, the longest 18 months on record.
More than a year of hand sanitizer, Lysol wipes, masks.
Arguments over masks.
Worries about loved ones, grief for loved ones and strangers.
6 degrees of separation, empty theaters and airports.
Meeting on Zoom and singing happy birthday on FaceTime.
Virtual hugs and touchless high fives.
More than a year of life in a wind tunnel.
An air shaft we were propelled through with no certainty of when, where, how we would emerge.
15 months of virus deaths. 612,000 plus dead in the U.S.
4 million plus dead worldwide.
200 million plus infected worldwide.
7.8 billion plus affected worldwide.
And a climactic year of a 400-year cycle, a plague year of too many more horrifying deaths.
George, Brianna, Anthony, Tatiana, Philandro, and more, and more, and more.
The list of names to say grows ever longer.
And outrage pours into the streets worldwide.
A year of shocking, contentious political divisions.
Where words of comfort compete for airtime with words of derision, even as breathing itself becomes a worry and a question.
More than a year of Netflix and Amazon Prime.
HBO Max and Hulu, if we were lucky.
More than a year of uninterrupted time with our dogs and our cats.
With our partners, our children, if we were lucky.
In the epic tale we tell of this time, first we rise.
We're all in this together, we said. No matter how sad or lonely or scared, we said,
we're in this together.
We applauded and sang to and clapped for the women and the men, the ordinary people who rose to the occasion.
Many, many of them women, many, many of them black people and people of color.
The teachers.
The paramedics.
The nurses.
The ER docs, the firefighters, the police.
The sanitation workers.
The cleaners of labs and hospital rooms.
The grocery store workers.
The meat packers.
The restaurant staff.
The daycare providers.
But the pandemic wore on, and the applause thinned.
And then the story gets complicated. Some started to wonder, is applause enough?
Some started to question, is it a pandemic at all?
Some started to argue about who needed help.
Some started to notice that burdens fell disproportionately.
Some started to point out that illness clustered in certain neighborhoods.
Disproportionately for certain groups.
And the lovely story fell apart.
We are not all in it together. Not exactly.
The fabric of together ravels into threads.
I cannot accept that this time of sorrow was in vain.
I cannot accept losses that did not move us toward each other.
I cannot accept the sacrifices of ordinary people unless we reward them with a renewed world.
I cannot accept a story of this time that simply stops without greatness and grace.
My hope is not in a fable of sameness. That fable falls apart.
We are not the same.
My hope is not in kumbaya around a fire.
Not everyone knows the words.
We are not the same.
Sameness is not required or desired. Justice arises when we see and hear our differences.
Justice arises when we meet our differences with curiosity and respect.
My hope is in the weft and warp, single fibers coming together as cloth, a miracle born in connections.
The fabric of the universe is a coherent weave from the same threads that make our bodies.
Can we pick up the raveled threads of our social fabric and make a sail?
Can we hold that cloth to the wind and somehow rise?
As I summon us to rise, I call out first to women. I call out to women not because women are special,
or especially virtuous, or especially generous.
I call out to women because too often women have not been called up, allowed to step up,
given the space to stand up, recognized as powerful when they act up.
Still, they have taken space, made space, shown strength, proved their toughness, done the work 1,000 times over.
Held up much more than half the sky, danced their way through thankless jobs, backwards in high heels.
Borne more than their share of essential work, the dangerous work, the heartbreaking work.
And did not hear their names called in the roster of thanks, or receive their invitation to the ball.
And so I call out to women, to all who name themselves women.
And to anyone who wishes women well.
We will be with her and for her. We will be at the bottom lifting.
We will be at the top pulling. We will be on the forward path clearing.
We will be behind propelling. We will pull each other with gentle cords and fierce love.
No matter our many identities, no matter our personal politics,
No matter our points of agreement or disagreement, whether we even like each other or not.
the vision for now is to create the climate, the winds and the weather, the atmospheric pressure. Hold the cloth to the wind and we will rise.
Renewed hope for connection, renewed hope for justice.
These bitter gifts of the pandemic, these tragic gifts of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor.
And yes, a chance for love, not romantic love or idealized love, but the love that emanates from goodness.
From fierce love of justice and fiery love of what's fair, the love that moves the sun and the other stars.
May we all find such love in our hearts.
An army of such lovers is more threatening to the status quo than a battalion of tanks.
An army of lovers cannot fail.
An army of lovers cannot fail.